and girls, a warm welcome along to today's United Kingdom Talk. And I've just remembered, I haven't taken an email off the printer. Just a second, let me reach over there. There we are. There's an email on the printer that I wanted to read out to you. Do you remember a couple of shows ago, I was mentioning the fact that does it matter if I iron my shirt? Can you actually tell, those of you that are watching the YouTube side of things, the video side of things, or current TV, does it matter? Can you actually tell if I've not ironed my shirt? I've got to be honest, after recording that show, I looked back on the video and I thought, oh my God, you look like a sack of old potatoes, dear. Not because, of course, not because I'm unfit. I want to point it out. At the moment, I'm very pleased to reveal I am 12 stone 6 pounds. And I'm very proud of that. Just before Christmas, I was 13 stone 4 pounds. I want to be about 12.6 and I'm there. Okay, so fingers crossed. I need to hold it up. I'll be very happy if I can hold it at that level. Okay, so not looking like a sack of potatoes, although I have to say, I haven't been swimming for a while now at all. Once since Christmas Eve. I don't know what's gone wrong. I just, I kind of seem to be finding time to do other things now. For example, this show, a couple of my jobs have changed this year. You know, so now I'm always, you know what I'm like with time, always fighting for time. But I find myself now able to achieve everything I want to achieve during the week now, although the swimming has suffered because of that. So I need to realign myself. I'll tell you another thing I've just remembered. The last, I would say just before Christmas, I started having a real problem getting out of bed. Now, have we got anyone around the age of 45, same age as me, 45, listening or watching the show? Is it an age thing? I am finding it incredibly hard now to get out of bed. I wake up, I think it's something to do with my flannelette sheets. I do. It is so comfortable in my bed. I mean, it really is. And I wake up whether I wake up in the morning or after my little afternoon siesta, I always have a couple of hours sleep in the afternoon. Whether it's then or in the morning, I just can't get straight out of bed. It's taken me 20 minutes. And what's all that about? Is it an age thing? If so, I need your help. How do I get out of bed? I mean, is it because I've got nothing to look forward to in my life other than talking to you a few times a week? Is that what it is? I don't know. I've no idea what it is. Okay, any suggestions, let me know. There's an email address to the programme. It's chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. A warm welcome along to you. My name's Chris Reardon. And just saying about the shirt. So today, I've actually got a short-sleeved shirt on because it is quite warm here today in the Mirrorball Studios. Yes, it's warmed up again. We are back into double figures on the old centigrade scale. I must say, I was watching the telly last night, BBC News 24, and it had some pictures of places in America and how cold it was. But you're all in Fahrenheit there, aren't you? Here in the UK, we're sort of half-half. It's dreadful, really. We're never quite sure which way we want to go. We hold on to some of the imperial stuff, and then we also take a little bit of the metric stuff. And it's a bit of a mismatch here in the UK. I mean, I personally, it's funny when it comes to temperature, right? If you're talking about hot weather, for some reason, it's always good to talk in Fahrenheit because the numbers, I don't know about you, but the numbers are so much higher. So if I said to you, if you're in America, you'll know exactly what I mean. If I said to you, today it was 80 degrees in the sun, you would know how hot that is. Okay? Now, when it comes to the cold weather, for some reason, my mind switches to centigrade. So if I said to you it was 1 degree centigrade, that would be just above freezing point. Now, I have no idea what that would be in Fahrenheit. Strange, isn't it? Does anyone else think like that? Especially if you're in the UK. When it's hot weather, do you think in Fahrenheit? And when it's cold weather, do you think it can centigrade? It's all very mysterious, dear. Do let us know, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Now, talking about shirts and unironed shirts, an email has been received from one of our YouTube viewers. Now, not sure of your name there. I only have a username, which is Roger Coconut 2. Coconut. Oh, no, Conut. Sorry, Roger. I'm not quite sure what your name is there. Anyway, he says, "Hi, Chris. With all due respect, your shirt looks as though you've slept in the clothes hamper. Just saying." Thank you very much, sir. And you know what? I absolutely agree with you. So I've ironed... Today I've ironed my short-sleeved shirts, which I haven't worn since the summer, actually. I've been looking back at some of the old videos as well to the show. And I have to say, I think I need to buy some more shirts, because I've only got about 10. And I keep rotating them, as I'm sure you may have noticed. So I've been 3 shirts a week, 3, 6, 9. 3 weeks later, you're wearing the same blooming shirts again, aren't you? Horrendous. I need some more cheap shirts. I really do. And by the way, that cough that I keep doing, you know, this one, is I'm afraid definitely down to the asthma coming back again, because when I leave the house within an hour, the cough clears up completely. I can go a whole night working, DJing or hosting karaoke or bingo somewhere. I can go a whole night doing that, and then no coughing at all. I come back home, I sit on the chair, Katie, the cat, jumps on my lap, and it starts again. So I'm not quite sure what to do with that. I'll put up with it for now. All right, so where can I get some nice cheap shirts? But they've got to be nice things that will look nice on the video thing. I don't need to buy like what's that bloke's name beginning with R? Ralph. What's his name? Ralph someone or other. Oh, hang on. Is that just a minute? Is that one? I can't think. I've got a shirt here. That's terrible, isn't it? You know that red shirt I took off on the other show? Right, it's still sitting there on the chair. Such an untidy person. So that's that. I'm very glad that I gave up. Did I tell you I gave up the job I do on Fridays? The late one. I was actually doing 2 jobs on a Friday night. What would happen is that I'd leave my house about 7:30 on a Friday night. I'd then drive to Hemel Hempstead and DJ 8:30 to midnight. I'd get back in my car about 12:10 midnight. I'd then drive all the way to Brighton. And this is not a short... Well, I mean, I say it's not a short drive. I know people in America and indeed Australia drive for 10 hours at a time. To us here in the UK, 2 hours is a long drive. So I would leave Hemel Hempstead at 12:10. And then I would arrive in Brighton around about 5 to 2. And then I would DJ 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. And then I'd finish there and then get back here at 6:30. And I've done that now for 2 years. And it just makes me very, very tired. I've always gone along the lines that eventually you'll get used to it. Well, two years later, and it's still making me incredibly tired. So I've given that one up now, which is a shame, really. And it's a shame because it was one of those places where they asked me to come and do a job. You go in there, you do the job. Your finish time comes, you go to the bar. All right, I'm off home now. Oh, okay, Chris, here's your wages. Off you go, see you next week. That was it. Never, ever a problem. Okay? No one ever complained. No one moaned they didn't like anything, not the customers or the staff or anyone. And in particular, not the manager, whose name is Dean. He and I just get on so well. And I feel guilty. I feel guilty having such an easy job for 2 years. And I'll tell you something else about that bloke, right? Last year, I think when the credit thing started, after I'd been there a year, I asked for a small rise. Not £10 it was, £10. And I rung him up. I said, all right, Dean, sorry to trouble you, mate. I said, the old diesel's going up a lot, mate. Any chance of a little bit more cash? And he says, how much do you want? I said, £10. I said, that's enough. He said, is that all? And I've said to you before, I'm not a greedy person. I said, yeah, that's fine. I said, that's all I'm after. He said, and he says, okay, mate, just put it on from next week. And that was that. God, if only they were all as easy as that. But do you see the sort of person he is? And I'm disappointed with myself in a way that I haven't been able to carry it on, because I do feel like he was good enough to give me a job and I've now left. You understand where I'm coming from here? As I say, from my point of view, has to be one of the nicest, easiest jobs of the week, but I just couldn't hack the hours anymore. And you know, I'd come back here virtually every Saturday morning, come through the door around about 6:15, 6:20, and I'd sit down with a cup of tea and a piece of toast, because you can't go to sleep straight away after all that. It takes me about half an hour to come round again. And I would be there like this, you know, falling asleep, thinking to myself, you know, I've got to knock this on the head. Well, I mean, I thought like that for 2 years. And eventually this week I rung up Dean, and he was very, very understanding. He completely understood. And I'm so grateful for that. It's rare that you find someone as nice and as understanding like that. And but there you go, you know. So I've now dropped the Friday night, giving me a bit more time Saturday. It's a long night. It's a blooming long night. You have to understand, standing there for like well, I mean, in effect, you're at work for 12 hours, aren't you? Eh? And it's an awful long time, because you can't sort of have a nap for 20 minutes, or I'm sure some of you do that, don't you? When you're at work, or perhaps you get an hour for lunch or something like that. You see, once I start, that's it. You go all the way through. So if you're DJing for 2 hours, you DJ for 2 hours. If you DJ for 12 hours, you DJ for 12 hours. There's no break in the middle. It's not like a normal job like that. And I'm pleased now, very pleased to have the time back. What do I do with this extra time? I sleep a bit more, to be honest. I mean, I'm not getting up any earlier on the Saturday. The difference is, on a Saturday, I would be like sleeping between 7 a.m. and 12 p.m. and then getting up and recording one of the shows, usually on a Saturday morning, okay? Now, I kind of sleep between 3 a.m. and 12. So the time I've saved has been taken up with the sleeping. But, you know, a bit older now, maybe I need that. Those of you over 45 or around that age, do let me know how you feel about this whole sleeping and getting out of bed. Is it because I'm a bit older? Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk is the email address. All right, so early finish now. I say early finish, you know, I get back here reasonable hours, very early, sort of very early in the morning now. Okay, email time, boys and girls. First of all, a lovely letter. The emails are still coming in about my beloved little Tiny, my cat, okay, who died a couple of weeks ago now. Still haven't got her ashes back yet. Remember I told you I intend to make a little bit in the garden, put the ashes in and a couple of nice plants so that she comes back up again, sort of thing. First of all, it's lovely to hear from Joy in Acton, who has at last got off her bum and posted a letter into the letterbox. Thank you, Joy. Isn't this lovely? Look, she says, a little note. She says, first of all, a caring thought. And there's a little poem there. And she says, a little note to say, chin up and go for a prosperous, healthy new year. Don't forget, Chris, onwards and upwards. Onwards and upwards? What do you mean upwards? Well, I'm a bit worried what you mean there, Joy. Upwards to where? And who with? Fondest love as always. And that's from our friend Joy in Acton. Lovely card there with orange lilies on it. They are my favourite flower, lilies. I like the, do you know the pink tiger lilies? and the really pungent smell, the beautiful smell that comes off of those. But you've got to be very careful of the, not nectar, what's that stuff called? Pollen. You've got to be very, very careful with the pollen on lilies. Yeah, because it's a terrible stain, dear. If you get it on your fingers, it looks like you've been smoking for 25 years, dear. Thank you, Joy. Okay. Another one here. Another lovely card. And it says, they are gone from our sight, but never our memory. Gone from our hearing, but never our hearts. Gone from our touch. But their presence is felt, and the love that they gave us never departs. With deepest sympathy. And that says, Chris, we are so sorry, from your Florida friends, Gloria and Bruce. And it says on the front of the card there, a pet is a special part of the family who will always have a special place in your heart. So thank you two for that. That's lovely. I hope the weather's nice down there in Florida. When do you come into the hurricane season again? Soon, isn't it? Oof. We don't like the wind, dear. There's enough wind here without it coming from the natural sources. Most of the wind comes out of my mouth, doesn't it, eh? Hello to Lisa. It's Sweet EA, Sweetie for you. And Lisa says, you made mention of how you would like to be able to see we listeners and watchers of your show. I've got itchy nose here. Oh dear, itchy nose. What does that mean? Is that someone talking about me? She says, since I've been able to see your photos, it's only fair to share a few of ours in return. Can you see the family resemblance between me and Mamie Kitty, she says. Try to remember the 1st of December. La da da da. Who sings that? It's not Diana Ross, is it? I like Diana Ross. Mad as a Hatter. I love Diana Ross. She says, try to remember happy and cute memories. Whenever you're missing Tiny, it will at least help her. And she says, hope you have a fantastic party in McDonald's or wherever you decide to celebrate your birthday. I don't know. I don't celebrate my birthday, really. Never have done. Never, ever have done. My mum and dad, when I was smaller, up to the age of about, dare I say 35, they would always go out and buy a cake and ask me to go round for my birthday. Always. Absolutely always. You know, you never grow up to your parents, do you? I know Joy in Acton, her children are in their 50s, I believe. But Joy, you still look at them, don't you, as little boys and little girls? Huh? I think it's a lovely thing. So she sends, thank you, Lisa, and she sends a picture of her cat, right? And she does look like a very young version of my Tiny. She's a tortoise shell, isn't she? Well, so was Tiny. Now, there is a picture of Lisa on there as well. But, Lisa, that picture is so small, darling. I can't see you. Can't see your lovely little face there, my love. We need bigger pictures. Do we need a little... Someone at the door? Just a minute now. Stay there. Someone at the door. Stay there. What a blooming cheek. Honestly. Someone trying to sell something. That really annoys me. I should have looked at the clock and realised it wasn't going to be the post office. Oh, dear. He had the sharp end of my tongue. Did you hear me? I said, what do you want? I said, are you selling something? And they always say, no, I'm not selling something. Liar. He was trying to sell me something. I hate that. Oh, I do hate salesmen knocking on the doors. Carl in Yorkshire. Oh, Carl, I meant to tell you. Carl in Yorkshire, who actually left me a message the other day. I'm really sorry I haven't got back to you yet, Carl. I'm all over the place at the moment. But I do appreciate your messages. And I just remembered something else you said. Well, rather randomly, Carl sent in a picture of his dinner. Not quite sure what was going on there in Carl's mind. It may be a little lapse of concentration on life. Something like that, was it, Carl? But nevertheless, Carl sent me in a picture of his dinner, which I think was steak and potatoes. I tell you what, enough look nice, Carl. Do you cook properly for yourself all the time? Are you a bit of a good cook? Matty, our Tasmanian devil, is learning to cook, aren't you, Matty? It's a very good thing. Anyway, thank you for that, Lisa. And it's lovely to see that you have a cat that is like a young version of my Tiny. Beautiful. But can we have another picture of you a little bit bigger? Blow it up a bit, darling. Do we need... Listen, right? And give me your thoughts on this. Do we need a little bit of a website with pictures of the listeners? It would be quite easy for me to set that up. Actually, I've already got... over the years, I've been doing various different radio shows, and I did actually have a little sort of a photo gallery of people that have listened to my shows so far. Shall I put that one on the main website? What do you think? Would you like to send your photos in? And then you can appear, then everyone can see what everyone else looks like. I mean, it might not be a pretty sight. Oh, God help us if James Dean from matineeshow.co.uk tries to send his picture in. I can always pretend it's been lost in the post. He's a big boy now, James Dean. Oh, yes, yeah. Very, very big. I think possibly if James Dean tries to send his photo in, what you may have to all do is buy another 3 computer screens, because it just won't, the picture will not fit on one screen. I'm afraid to say that, my darlings. He's not the one losing the weight. Quite honestly, I'd rather be the one not losing the weight either. But there we are. Right, onwards. Stop it, James. No, don't laugh, dear. Apparently, I said something funny the other day while James Dean was listening to the show. Oh, yes, he does listen to the show. James Dean, who does his own podcast, matineeshow.co.uk is the address of that. He listens to the show trying to pick out little trinkets for his own show, don't you, my darling? You're picking away, dear. Anyway, apparently I said something funny. I can't remember what it was, but it created a very, very, very positive attitude in his mind, and he started laughing while he was walking along the pavement towards the bus or something like that. Poor old soul. He hasn't even got a car. It's terrible, really, isn't it, eh? Terrible. Right, hello to our mate Susan. It's Susan, our cat lover. And she's suggesting something about Tiny here, my cat, who died. She said, I've just listened to last Saturday's show. If you want to bury Tiny in your garden, check with a handyman and see how much he would charge you to dig a hole for you. Now, I never thought of this. She said, this is what I did with one of my pets. Believe it or not, he had the hole dug 6 foot deep in less than 30 minutes. The crematorium has probably got Tiny in a freezer. If you have to wait until the ground is warmer, they would probably keep her for you for a minimum charge. Take care of yourself and Katie, from Susan. That's a lovely thought, and thank you for that, Susan. I have already decided now that I will have her cremated. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if it's been done now, and I'm just waiting for the phone call to pop along and collect her little bits and pieces, and then make a little flower bed in the garden, as I say, and park some nice plants there. So something special. I should spend a good deal of time, I think, looking around the garden centre at something suitable. Got to be something with flowers. Katie was quite dark, so I don't know. I don't know. possibly dark flowers, maybe a deep red. See, the only thing is with roses, they don't grow well in the garden too. I've got the wrong soil for roses. And of course, some people they do actually change the soil in their garden, don't they, to suit the plants that they want to buy. But I never think that's a very good idea, really. I mean, if that's the soil that God's given you downstairs, then that's what you should try and plant with all the bits and pieces. Thank you, Susan. It's our friend Matthew in Canada. Yes, home of the what's that leaf? What's that leaf again? Not the palm leaf, the maple leaf, isn't it? The maple leaf. Is maple syrup from the same plant as the maple leaf? Is it? I don't know. Anyone know that? What's the story of maple syrup? Because I love maple syrup. Oh, I used to go to, whenever I went to Florida, we used to go to this place called Denny's. Okay, and they do breakfasts and foods and all that. Oh my God, you've never seen a breakfast like... It's not like breakfast here in the UK, dear. Where you where you go down the local Greasy Joe's Cafe and you might get 2 slices of bacon and a couple of eggs. Oh no, in Denny's, the breakfast come on massive plates. It is breakfast and lunch. And one of the things you have there is waffles with maple syrup. Absolutely delicious. Oh, and I can smell it now. Do you ever get memories of smells coming back? Let me just try and smell the Denny's breakfast. I can smell it now. Interestingly enough, right, it's all served on one big plate. So you can have the full Denny's breakfast, which would be you would have bacon, you would have sausages, you would have eggs. You might have... Do you have tomatoes? I can't remember what else was on the plate now. But also on the same plate, sometimes, they seem to put the waffles and the maple syrup as well. Am I getting that wrong? I might have got that wrong. Oh, it's such a long time. I might have to just pop over to Florida to have breakfast. Hey? Oh, we like maple syrup. Anyway, Matthew says, hello, Chris. Hope you're doing well. Sorry to hear about your cat, Tiny. I'd like to thank you for responding so well to my latest email. Yeah, I try and respond to all the emails, either directly by another email or preferably on the show, because quite often people write in things with questions or stories and the answer can assist a lot of other people. So that's why I often answer the emails on the show. Now, if you ever want to write into me privately, and you don't want the email read out on the show, then just put that at the top of the email, private. Or please do not read this on the show, or something like that, and I will answer you privately, okay? As you said, interestingly enough, last week I had... Oh, no, it was last week. It was a few weeks ago. I had a young lad. I say young, I think it was about 19, who thinks he is gay. And he wrote to me and I responded privately, okay, pointing him in the direction of several youth groups and things like that, and warning him of certain dangers and things like that, okay? So if you ever want to write in anything like that, I'm only too pleased to help you. Sometimes it might take a little bit of time to respond, but if I get an email from you and you ask for assistance, I will do my best. I can't always help, okay? But it's worth a try sometimes, being as I've been around a bit longer, not just those sort of issues, but anything at all to do with life that perhaps I might have experienced, okay? Sometimes, if you're happy for the email to be read out on the air, right, we can read whatever problem you have, and there may well be someone listening who can help you. I happen to know that Suko has many, many times given permission for me to give her email to a writer, to an emailer for assistance or some sort of support or something like that, okay? We share everything here. We share the highs of life and we share the lows of life. All right, so just to let you know that. Matthew says, as you say, it's the people that are sitting on local councils that have a lot of money and nothing better to do than find things to take offence to, such as Christmas. You remember we had that discussion just before Christmas? When councils are sitting there saying, oh, you mustn't call it Christmas and all this business in case it offends. Get off on one, will you? Matthew says, I totally agree with that 100%. To touch on the subject of wild animals here in Canada, because I was mentioning on the show, do you have dangerous animals? Because I don't know a lot about Canada, to be honest. I know a lot about Australia. I know a lot about certain parts of America. For example, in Florida, there's always the possibility that you'll see an alligator, isn't there? In Australia, there's always a possibility you'll see spiders, snakes, crocodiles, things like that. I mean, they're not running around. They're not running around like people in a city. But the danger is there. And indeed, these things do appear sometimes. You have to be aware of that when you go to other countries. I think one of the other... What's in Egypt and the Middle East countries, they have scorpions, don't they? Live in the sand. Oof, nasty things. Anyway, he says, to touch on the subjects of wild animals here in Canada, we do have a few for sure, and they are mountain goats, elk, deer, foxes, coyote, bears, every kind of bear, porcupines, wild turkeys, and lots of skunks. I could find you a home just like you described, with 3 bedrooms and a nice garden here in Canada. Well, that must be it must be nice, right? To have homes all over the world. Like some of the stars do, don't they? Huh? That'd be quite nice, you know, to sort of, I don't know, on a cold day here in the UK, saying, oh, I don't want to stay here. I'm going to go on a little holiday. I'm going to go to my home in Sydney. And you just get on a plane and you go to your other house. You see, it's a horrendously expensive thing, isn't it, to be able to do that? Because you haven't just got the price of the home. There's all that up. You've got the bills coming in. You've got to fill the home with furniture and all that. Horrendously expensive to have more than one home. But people have houses all over the world. I bet Joan Collins, I bet she's got a few houses all over the place. I like her, don't you? Joan Collins. Oh, she's fantastic. Matthew says, not to offer any advertising here, but if you should ever fly out for a visit to Canada, Chris, I'd like to suggest an airline called Air Transat. As most have told me, it's the cheapest way to fly from Europe to Canada. And you know we like deals, dear. It's true. I do like a good deal. Why bother spending more than we have to, right? Well, yes. Yep, I'm with you there, Matt. The only thing is, what's the legroom like? Because I've been very, very lucky to have flown to Australia twice, business class, okay? I saved them. It's the only way to do it. You've got to save the money. But what a difference. None of your knees up against someone's back. You lay there on this flat. Oh, Matt, you just don't know, mate. It is the best way to fly, but horrendously expensive. What I did is I went in cheaper hotels when I got to Australia. That's what I did. I saved the money on the hotels and spent it on the aeroplane. And I'll tell you what, I'm glad I did. Because let's face it, you don't go on holiday to sit in a posh hotel all week, do you? It's stupid. My friend Justin, who runs a steam coach, that's the other place I am on Fridays, he always goes everywhere and spends a lot of money on a hotel. And I just don't get it. I mean, he's got some marvellous photographs of hotels in really posh hotels in places like Las Vegas or New York. But I don't get it. He's out every night. He's a drinker as well, so he goes in bars and things. It's not like he sits in his hotel room. And besides, why on earth Would you want to fly thousands of miles and then sit in a posh hotel room? What is the point in that? You might as well hold on to that couple of £1,000 if you like poshness and do your house up. As you can see, poshness doesn't bother me. This house never gets decorated. Why? Because I can't stand the mess and the mucking about when you have decorators in. No, thank you. Last year, around about this time last year, I had my nephew and his girlfriend round to decorate the house. That wasn't a problem because, of course, they both know me. They fit in around me. No problem. You know, I mean, the job was done okay. It was all right. Wasn't like a professional decorator, but it was certainly good enough for me. Posh doesn't bother me at all, mate. Posh doesn't bother me at all. And that's the other thing, Matthew. Although I went on the business class, that was nothing to do with class. It was just about comfort, okay? I am not a class person. I don't believe... I particularly hate that with people that come along and think they're better than you. As far as I'm concerned, everyone's on the same level. There's only one person in this world who's above everyone else, and that's Her Royal Highness Queen Elizabeth. Okay? She is on a different level to everyone else. All these other Herberts, celebrities, politicians, and they think in their tiny little minds they're actually better than you. You've heard them on the telly, the way they talk down to you. I'm afraid in a lot of the gay bars that I work in, there's an awful lot of people like that as well. They think they're better than you, the way they talk. But they never get one over on me, dear. Because I just start swearing and bringing them back down to my gutter level. It's one thing you'll never see me do on radio. You will never hear me swear. I don't know why. I just don't think it's necessary. I know there's probably parts, and I do understand where, well, swearing is part of life. Yeah, I know, but maybe it's the way I was brought up. I don't know. I just don't think it's necessary to actually swear on the radio. If you meet me in public, then I'm afraid my mouth is a little bit worse than it is on here. It absolutely is. Even Joy in Acton will tell you that when I talk to her on the phone. Mind you haven't heard Joy. The mouth on her sometimes. Oh, it scares me, dear. I don't know what... I bet her children don't know the way she speaks to me. It's shocking. Shocking. Matty says, on the subject of DJing, like you, I have come and had nights, because Matty does DJing in Canada, I've come and had nights where you would get people from other countries come in and request things that really only them and their group will know. And they expect me to go ahead and play it for them. Yes. Yes, Matty. Isn't that annoying? Every time I get a group of Australians in, they come and ask for the presets. Presets. Now, have you ever heard of them? No, I thought not. Now, this group is very, very big in Australia, okay? But here, we don't know. We've never heard of them. We've absolutely never heard of them. And you see, when you put on, you could have 100 people or whatever in a bar, a group of 8 people, let's take, for example, this time Australians, group of 8 Australians come in, have you got any presets? No. And then they're like shocked. They are shocked. And the way they then talk, what do you mean you haven't got any? Well, we don't know them here. But they're huge in Australia. That's the thing. They are huge in Australia. They may, at some point, be huge here in the UK, in which case it's time to start playing them. But again, it depends what sort of DJ you are, Matty. I am the sort of DJ that will try and give people what they want that most people in the room will know. You cannot play a record for 2 or 3 people when the other 200 won't know it. It will clear your dance floor. And it's awful sometimes. They sit there rowing, but I want you to put it on for me. But you've got a full dance floor, and if you put that record on, you know you're going to lose the dance floor. Sometimes you can get away with putting on unknown records early into the evening. Very, very early into the evening. But at peak time, not a chance. You just can't do it. And it's usually girls. The blokes, The boys, the men, they're usually accepting of whatever you say to them. You know, well, I'm sorry, you know, not many people. But it's the girls that are the problem. They will stand there and go on and on and on. And of course, then they start. And I know, I'm assuming you're a straight boy, Matthew, and you know what I mean. These girls will stand there and flutter their eyelashes at you and push their chests out, thinking that that may make you put the record on. Well, I'm afraid it doesn't work with me like that, my love. You're not doing anything for me, and I've had it. And these girls come and they push themselves right up against you. Oh, please play the record for me, and all this business. You've got to be strong. They will stand there for 5 minutes arguing the point. It's really, you don't realise, most people on here are not DJs. You don't realise. You really don't realise the hassle we go through sometimes. Oh, the pain of it all, dear. The pain. Oh, dear. Matt from Canada says, and it just so happens that last week a group came from Italy. Here we go. Bought a CD. Oh, that's the other one. They bring in their own music, don't they? You can't put it on, Matthew. You mustn't put it on. No one will know it. You will clear the floor. You might be lucky and have the 3 Italians up to dance and no one else will dance. And then other people will come up while that record's on and saying, what's this rubbish? She says, he says, sorry, a group from Italy came in and bought a CD with the music they liked to the blooming club, dear. He says, I mean, as a DJ, I'm quite sure you know, as well as I do, if I was to put on this bloke's CD in the club, the dance floor would most likely go from nearly full to nearly empty rather rapidly. And as I tried to explain that fact to them, their whole group walked out of the club then and there. Oh. What is their problem, eh? But my question to you is, would you have done the same? What, not played the CD? Absolutely not. No. Does it say Italy where they come into Canada through the airport? No, it doesn't. That's the one I say to them. When they come up to me, I say to them, look, when you got here in this country, as you came through Heathrow Airport, did it say Australia or Italy or Germany or France? No, it didn't. It said United Kingdom. That's where you are now. It's horrible. It's horrible when they come up and you say no and they go on and on and on. But one thing, Matty, you must not be rude. Just keep saying no, and it's very, very hard because I know you're standing there getting more and more wound up. Do not jump down their throat, okay? You've got to stand there. I'm sorry, I can't play that. I really don't think it'll work. And literally keep saying it in a nice tone. And the other one is, of course, at the end of the night where you finished, I don't know what time you finished, say 2 o'clock. You finished 2 o'clock, record's finished. Oh, can you put one more record up? No, I'm not allowed to. Okay? Now, you will know, whatever club you're in, some clubs will allow you to play another record, another club won't. All right? So you've got to be so careful with that. If a club does not like you playing overtime, then don't. It doesn't matter. You will have people coming up to you. And again, I have to say, it's always the girls. They will come up to you, please play another one, please play another one. And it goes on, and you're thinking, oh, go away. All you do is say, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to play another. Send them to the manager. Manager won't allow me to play them. He's standing over there if you want to have a word with him. And the manager will always take your side if you've decided. If he said to you not to play another record, okay, then he won't come over. Very unlikely he'll come out. I'll put another one on. No. All right. The size of the group, the Italian group, he says, was about 15 or so. Where the club can hold quite a large number than that. But the fact they did all walk out like that at once did get me in quite a lot of trouble with the manager. But I did explain the case. I don't know what to say to that. I've never not had a manager take my side, really. That's a problem. What did he actually say after you explained what had happened? Did he then take your side or what? That's very different, because you're playing devil's advocate there. That's awful. That's awful. disappointed. Presumably the manager saw them all walk out, then came over you two and had a go. But after you explained to him what had happened, what did he say then, Matty? Please tell me. He says, at the time, there were probably of upwards 90 people on the dance floor. But if you could let me know how you would respond to something like that, I'd appreciate your input. So I have already, okay? You can't play music from other people's countries when you've got a full dance floor, for God's sake. I mean, the manager should know. Would it be better to lose 15 people or 90? You know? And please don't do it. You know, if you've got anyone watching this show and you're about to go off on holiday somewhere, don't start going up to the DJ and demanding your specific sort of music from wherever you're from. That's ridiculous. It's a bit like going to I mean, the British do it, the English do it. I do this, okay? I can't lie, I do this. It's a bit like going to somewhere like India and demanding burger and chips. Do you see what I'm saying? It's really unfair to that DJ to go and demand music that we've never blooming heard of. And turning up with your own CD, oh, come off it. You're having a laugh, aren't you? You walk into a restaurant, you know, with your frozen dinner. Could you put that in the microwave? Don't be so. That's what you're doing. It's ridiculous. I'd also like to mention the topic of unfair fines. I have noticed that here in Canada, beside the fines going up for things like traffic offences, it seems that recently more and more fines that should not take place in the first place are being handed out left, right and centre. I think that people can only be pushed to a certain point with all these fines before they snap. And what will happen is that people will take matters into their own hands and it's all becoming very scary. Well, we saw this here in the UK with the poll tax 25 years ago. A lot of the population were very, very unhappy and there were riots in the centre of London. Politicians need to know that they are our servants and not our masters. Some of them get right above their board. Now, I was, and I'm really sorry, but the people up the north of the UK will hate me for this, I was a huge fan of Margaret Thatcher. Most of her policies I agreed with. She was the one that brought in the poll tax that started all the riots off. Oh, hang on a minute. Have I got that right? Or was it John Major? Now, I'm pretty sure it was her. And they had to backtrack on it. There are things, I think, that politicians have to do that may not be popular. Green issues, for example. Let me tell you, I heard a woman on London's talk radio station the other day. Jenny someone or other. Jenny, I think her name's Barnett. And she was talking about energy-saving bulbs. And I was listening to this conversation and people were calling in and she doesn't like them. Why should I have to sit in my living room with a flickering white bulb that doesn't light up quickly enough? And it was all me. And that is typical of so many people now. They're not interested in anyone else. My darling, and she calls everyone darling. I can't stand her. Can't stand the way she talks to people on the radio. But it was all me. Why shouldn't I be allowed to use? Because we've now banned the tungsten filament, like, you know, the old style light bulbs. We have now banned them here in the UK. I don't think you can. I'll have a look down the supermarket later, actually, to see if they've gone or not. Or there might be a few more months and then they're not being sold anymore. Why shouldn't I be allowed to use what light bulbs I want to? I don't like the little white flickering. Because, my darling, as you call everyone like, because it's for the good of the planet. And the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one. That's why you should be changing your light bulbs. Not because of you. Not because of you and you don't like the different lighting effects. You'll get used to it. Yes, you will. Who the hell does she think she is? Really annoyed me, that did, listening to that programme. She didn't want to use them because it didn't suit her. Well, I'm sorry. The needs of the planet dictate that we need to do something. And that's one of the very, very... I mean, if you're upset by a light bulb, God knows how upset you're going to be with other things that need to change. I personally think that short journeys in cars should be banned. Anything for 5 minutes. I don't know how on earth they would police that. It's for the planet, because if we don't do these things, we're all finished. Not us, okay? Not anyone I don't think anyone around on the planet now. But maybe those people who are around in 100 years' time, there won't be a planet left because you had to have your tungsten filament bulb. And it's all very well, I'm sure she would come back, if we were having this conversation now, she would come back and say, but it's only my bulbs. Times that by everyone else that thinks that, because you're not the only one, my darling, as you call everyone. You're not the only one with who doesn't like the new bulbs. I'm not particularly keen on them. I changed all my bulbs 15 years ago when they first came out. I saved a fortune on electricity. A fortune over the years. But there are many people who think like that. She's not the only one. Fair Jews. People who think, I don't like these bulbs, so I'm not going to use them. They don't think of the planet as a whole. I think when I was smaller, there was very much more society where neighbours would clip someone's kid's ear if they'd done something wrong. You wouldn't dare do that now, would you? There was much more of a sense of community when I was a child. Now it's very much me, 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 me. There's probably a bit of me, 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 me in everyone, including myself. But we need to try and do things together again, I think. The light bulbs is just one little thing. Matthew says, especially in a time where people are truly strapped for cash as it is now. We're going back to the talking about the fines and how parking fines and things like that, it's just going up and up and up. I said a couple of shows ago, how on earth does, say, an unemployed person, you know, who's scraping to make ends meet and has got a car, parks in the wrong place and gets a fine. How do they pay that? Just doesn't seem right. It's all very well, the multi-millionaire, they just park everywhere and presumably they send off a cheque for a few £100 every month to cover the parking fines. But the unemployed person, or perhaps the person, disabled person, something like that, with no money, gets one ticket, loses the car. Is that fair? Is it one size fits all? Fair? I don't think so. Thanks again for taking the time to listen to what I have to say. I hope that things in 2009 will be nothing but good from here on in. Yep, I hope so too from here on. Oh dear. Don't forget you will always be in my thoughts and prayers, Chris. Take care from Mr. Canadian Bacon Matt from Canada. Where'd you get the Canadian bacon thing from? Thank you very much. As always, we're running out of time. God's sake. We're never going to get through this pile of emails, are we, eh? Unless I sort of read them all quickly and then we can start all over again. I don't know. Keep them coming. It's great to hear from you. I keep saying this. I'm really sorry it's taken some of your emails quite a while to come up, but they do eventually, as you know. Let's see. Matty sent that one in, for example, on the 10th of January. You know, so that's a good 15 days old now. I've got a couple here. There's one here from the 6th of January I haven't got to yet. All right, but they do come up. Hello to Nathan. Nathan Ross. Hello, sir. Who says, the show where your cat died, I was in tears at the end. My thoughts are with you. Thank you, Nathan. Nice to hear from you. Nathan, a regular listener. Is it Nathan who said, would I like to come for a drink with him in London? We'll do that at some point. But only Coca-Cola, dear. I don't do alcohol. Hello to our man in Iceland. It's Robert. Dear Chris, it was with a heavy heart that I learnt of the passing of your dear friend. If we are to believe that which is in our heart and soul, it is with the knowledge that one day we'll be united again, and tears of sadness can give way to tears of joy. Some of you write some lovely words. You really, really do. You really, really do. Hello to William, who says, enjoying your shows. Sorry to hear about Tiny, but I hope 2009 will go well for you. Well, from this point on, I hope so too, William. All right? Just a few quickies there. Let me see. And one more. Have we got time for one more? Yeah, just about. Happy New Year, Chris. Best wishes to you, although my greeting is a bit late. Better late than never. Don't worry about that. I miss talking to you. Did you sing recently? Nope, not recently. Do you want me to sing? Not today. I really have no idea because I'm with you one half year ago. I think you sang really well. I remember you sang some Shirley Bassey's song. I heard the original with high anticipation, but it really disappointed me. What, Shirley? Oh, come off it. You sang a lot better than her. Don't tell her that, for Christ's sake. If you haven't sung a song recently, and he's got some requests here, next time, teach us your noise. Can you spell it? I can't spell my noises. Like that. Some are difficult to imitate, such as Jaws moving one. What, that one? I don't know how you'd write down those. I really don't. Thank you very much, Toby. Lovely to hear from you, sir. And that's it on the show today. As always, thank you very, very much for joining us. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk is my email address, all right? Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. See you on the next show. For yourself, Chris Reardon. Bye-bye.